Hi everyone, my name's PK, and here I have Clarence Chuah, who has amassed a property portfolio of $8 million dollars and with an LVR of around 50%. So that's pretty terrific going. He's got 9 properties now. He started actually when I first bought my first property, which is 2011, as a graduate, fresh out of uni. I think we're the same. We must be the same age, Clarence. I'm not sure. But I can't take credit for his entire portfolio, but he is a client of the Property Investment Accelerator. He's an IT professional based in Perth. And look, I think this is going to be an amazing episode because it's not so often we get to go in the mind and in the mindset of someone who's achieved so much at such a young age, especially around your mindset, especially around your strategy, especially around why you started this, huge feat in the first place and how you progress step by step by step. It's like I was saying to you before, Clarence, it's a remarkable achievement. And everyone who's watching or listening, I think, like genuinely, we're going to try to unpack this as much as possible to bring you a ton of value. So stick around right to the end. And Clarence, man, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say. Big congratulations, and I'm super happy for you.
Thank you, PK, and thanks for having me on the podcast as well.
It's my absolute pleasure. Um, I was really happy to receive your email recently because you went on holiday. And I think this is what it's all about. You've got a growing family, you went on like a 5, 6 week holiday, you've got this property portfolio. So it's a really well balanced life and lifestyle that you've built for yourself. When you left uni or perhaps when you first started working, did you always think or want this kind of life situation in the next 14 years or 15 years? Or did you feel that you would accumulate a property portfolio like this? Or how did you start?
To be honest, property has probably never been my first priority. I was always big in investment, like passive incomes, right? So I was so my background is in IT, but I love passive income, right? So I trade. I used to trade stocks. I trade crypto. I invest in ETFs. I invest in pretty much everything that you can think of. But property has, for me, the journey of investing in property is probably by accident in a way. I bought my first property when I was 2011. 6 months into my first job, my mom told me, "Hey, you can't always rent. You gotta get your own first property." And that's where I bought my first townhouse in Perth, and I lived there for about a year or two before I moved on to my next property.
Right, right. And is it true that you bought a bunch of properties very quickly? And is that how you were able to scale your portfolio very fast? Because of course, 2011 to, let's say 2013 was a pretty golden year for Perth or golden years for Perth.
Yeah, I would say yes and no. So I remember when I purchased my first in 2011, and I think couple of years down the road, I actually looked at the value, and it actually went downhill, real pretty bad.
Oh,
I don't know what happened then. So the first property that I bought was about 402K. And then I think a couple of years in, when I looked at it, the value actually went down to, when I got a valuation done, it actually went down to like 320 or something like that. So, at that stage, I wasn't really into property investment. So to
yeah.
me, that really didn't really matter because the value went down. All I wanted to do was just a place to live. Then after that, I think in 2013, I bought my second PPOR,
Hmm.
and I was like, hey, okay, do I sell my first place? I was like, why not just rent it out? Doesn't matter. Get some passive income, and then moved into my second place, which I lived for about a couple of years as well,
Hmm.
probably around 7, 8 years. Yeah, I lived there about 7, 8 years. But in between, I did purchase a few investment properties.
Right, right.
Yeah.
A- And what kind of, you kind of course you bought your first one to live, but it went down in value. Was there something that convinced you, maybe convince is the wrong word, but is there something that spurred you to start buying investment properties? Because obviously you're an intelligent person, you've been doing things in other asset classes as well.
It goes back to I wanted passive income,
Okay.
so I trade in crypto, which is really nice, stock and stuff. But I wanted something that I didn't have to spend so much time into it. I just wanted something that I would buy, rent it out, and you don't worry for the next year.
Right.
That was the mindset that I had. Yeah, which led me to the next property and the next property and the next property. Yeah.
Right. And has that been your experience? I'm asking a bit of a cheeky question here, but has that been your experience where you have bought properties and then you don't have to worry about it, and it's like zero stress, zero headache, and it's just passive income? Like maybe that has been your experience, I don't know.
The first few properties were yeah, I would say yes for the first few properties.
Uh-huh.
But the last few, yeah, generally there is a bit of a maintenance that you have to do. Hey, just for example, just during a Christmas week, I had the aircon broke down, the hot water system, and the fridge all in the same week. So I was like,
Right.
oh, okay, so it is actually not that hands off.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I do have property managers that manages all these for me, but at the end of the day, you still got to be the one that approves everything.
Hmm.
So yeah, yes and no. So the first few properties that I bought were just apartments and townhouses. So they were kind of really easy. There was not many maintenance and stuff. But the last few that I bought were houses, and in a way, it came with a bit more maintenance. And the places that I purchased, and the last three properties that I purchased were slightly older. I think they're about 20 odd years old. So it came with its own slight minor problems.
Right, right.
Yeah,
I don't know if I've met many people who have been so um passionate about passive income to start with. Normally
yeah,
people will want to build wealth, like net worth or net assets, and then, you hit an age, maybe it's 30, maybe it's 35, 40, where you start to realize, okay, well, all of this net wealth is great, but if I lose my job, if I can no longer work again, then it doesn't really translate into a lifestyle. It's kind of like numbers in the bank. I mean, why, maybe the question is why? Why were you so interested in passive income? Because I think most young people, maybe myself included, you know, I think I was of the similar opinion. I was like, I just want to be a millionaire. It's very materialistic type goals. But this concept of passive income didn't really strike me until a bit later. Was it a cultural thing, or was it something your parents taught you, or something you learnt in books, or what drove you towards obviously being this ambitious about it?
Um, I I like to talk to a lot of people, right? I've got mentors in life. One of them told me early on in my career was, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work till you die. So that really stayed with me, and since then I always find ways to just try to find a way to just generate passive income. Be it, like for example, I work. I started off my career. I worked 9 to 5, like a full-time job, but at the side, I actually did some side hustle. Being one of my favorite, and I still do it at in some way is reselling sneakers. You
Oh,
know,
wow. Okay.
yeah, that's actually a big passion of mine. A lot of them started with reselling sneakers. At at a point, I remember this was around in 2018 or 2019. My garage was full of shoes. I had to
Like
park my car.
secondhand shoes that you like
No,
polish
no,
up?
like no brand new shoes. Like I know a lot of people don't, yeah, like reselling sneakers. Literally, if there is a hype sneaker that's out, I would buy it, and flip it for a profit.
Oh, okay. You
Yeah,
can do that,
it
huh? I
was.
had no idea.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. The market for those is just crazy. At one stage, my garage was full of shoes,
Okay.
and I could buy a shoe for, let's just say, $360, and I could flip it for 2 grand.
Wow. What?
Yeah,
So I know we're going off topic, but I'm just curious, like, why would someone buy it off you as opposed to just from the source where you bought it from?
because they're limited shoes. They're
Oh, I
very
see.
they're very limited. I'm not sure. I know we're really going off topic, but this is just my life experience. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like shoes like Yeezys.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you
Yeah.
remember Yeezys. At one stage, they were really limited, and I have a program that helps me buy all those, and I just resell them. So that was my passive income. That I really enjoy that.
Right, right. No, it's great to enter into your mindset in this way. So you've been kind of doing side hustles, so to speak,
Yep.
for a long time. It's you had a big smile on your face as you were sharing that. So it's clear that it's a passion and you really enjoy it, which I love. Um, do you find that property is like really boring in comparison to
No,
all this?
I don't actually. I don't. I enjoy the journey. For me, I enjoy the journey. I enjoy the process. I enjoy learning new things every time. So
Mm.
when like buying the last few properties, I get to meet agents. I get to meet people, even people from your group that somehow we just started hanging out. We go for lunch just about 2 weeks ago. I just went out with a few guys. Hey, from the group. I can't remember how we connected, but we just ended up chatting and said, "Hey, you're in Perth. I'm in Perth. Can just go for a drink?" And we ended up having lunch together.
Nice, nice,
Yeah,
nice.
I enjoy the whole process.
Yeah, what would be your advice to someone who's like not enjoying the process? I know there's so many people out there that when let's say they watch or listen to an interview like this and they're like, okay, property investing, there's something here. And then they try to like dive into the world of property and it's really overwhelming. And then they
Yep,
might be scrolling real estate, they might be listening, consuming content, different suburb picks and
yep,
tips and hotspots, and then they're giving offers and being rejected. It can also be the opposite of your experience
yep,
where it's stressful, it's time consuming, and it's like a huge headache, right?
yep.
I'm not saying that's like for everyone, but there's a small subset of people who are like that. What is it about your mindset, or what tip can you give them to kind of change their outlook on the whole thing?
Um, First thing I would say definitely is education. Educate yourself. Understand why you're not enjoying it. So I remember before doing your course, I was like, oh, I was really hesitant on pulling the trigger. Like, I would analyze the suburb, I would analyze the house, and I would think to myself, oh, do I go, do I not? And by the time I actually pull the trigger, it's really too late. And then you lose out on houses and stuff. But after doing the course, it gave me a better perspective on how to really approach, because at the end of the day, it's data driven, right? If you once you educate yourself, you understand the process, it makes everything so much easier.
Right.
Definitely, like even ringing up real estate agent. I used to trust me. I used to hate ringing up real estate agents because it's just, I don't know. I just find it like they either too busy, they don't care. But once you have, I suppose, once you have the data to back yourself, you make it easier on yourself. For example, right now, if I ring up a real estate agent, I've got a script to say, hey, I know you're busy. I'm not going to waste your time. I've got pre-approval. I'm ready to go. I'll make the transaction really smooth for you. And it
Hmm.
just, bam, you don't waste the person's time. The real estate agent just, I suppose, they're more receptive to
Uh-huh.
you.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, main thing for me is just understanding that, educate yourself first thing.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And I think just mirroring your experiences, I've also found that whether it's property or otherwise, when you've seen that you can make money from a process and hard work combined, like even your shoe flipping business, then you know that if you applied those same ingredients, which is a methodology and then passion and hard work, you know that that can apply to any part of life, and you kind of come in it with a lot of confidence. Whereas if someone's never made money or never made real money, then they often doubt themselves that can I even do this? Is it, do I have the capability, the competency? Even if I learn everything, I don't trust myself. But,
Yep.
you've done it before in different fields, and it's just like, okay, let's just lift and shift this approach in property and let's do it.
Exactly. Exactly. Just like everything in life as well. Yeah. No, exactly. I
All right.
agree.
I want to ask you as well. I'm going to get to some technical questions because I think people will shoot me if I don't ask about things like borrowing capacity and entities, etc., etc. But I want to ask your thoughts on Perth because, of course, you live in Perth. You
Yep.
started your journey in Perth. The three properties that you bought in through the course are in
Yep.
Perth as
Yep.
well. I mean, what Perth is one of those things. A lot of people put down Perth because of its somewhat reliance on the mining industry. And of course, that's why a lot of people didn't buy in 2020, 21, 22 when we started buying there, etc. You've done really well in Perth, both over the long term, short term. What's your perspective on Perth going forward? We're recording this in 2025. Do you feel that it's kind of had its run? And now, as a resident there, you kind of feel the air is changing, or do you feel that Perth is a different beast than what it was 10 years ago, and it's more akin to a East Coast capital city where it will be more sustainable growth going forward?
Um, okay, that's a really good question. I personally, even though I haven't been buying properties in the last, 6 months or so, but I still ring up agents every now and then to see, hey, how the market's doing. I ring up my property managers to see, hey, because I've got rentals coming up that's due for renewals. I just want to be ahead of the game and just ask, hey, how's the rental market looking? And just from the real estate agent's side, right? Let's just say a year ago, you have if you list a property, you have 50 inquiries, and on the 15 inquiries, you probably get 30 offers. Right now, it's still so. The last time I spoke to an agent was probably like a month and a half ago. An agent told me that we still have probably 20, 30 inquiries and still offers. So you probably the market is still going pretty okay in Perth. If something's listed, it will still go instead of a week. You'll probably take 2 weeks, but there is still demand in there. So personally, I feel that Perth is still there's still some growth in it in the next 12 to 24 months. And in the rental market, I think the rental market is still really hard. I'm part of a Facebook group, and every day I scroll, I see people looking for rental.
Hmm.
There's still people struggling to find good rentals. So yeah, for personally, overall, I feel that there's still some growth in Perth. Um, Over the next, yeah, I'll say 12 months at least, there will still be growth.
Right, right.
No, no, it won't be a 2023, 2024 growth, but there will still be some growth there.
Right, right. The demand versus supply imbalance is still not at equilibrium. It's going
No,
towards equilibrium, but it's still a long way away from being a flat market like it used to be.
yeah, definitely.
Right. That's amazing. I want to ask a question that just popped up in my head right now. Not, I mean, I can say from my experience, but I'd like to hear from you. You've got nine properties. How long do you spend managing this portfolio on a, let's say, monthly basis? I think some people prefer stock investing.
Yep,
ASX and property has performed basically identical, since the Great Depression in
yep,
Australia. The difference, of course, being leverage for real estate. But a lot of people say, oh, tenants, who wants tenants? Like, there's only headaches, maintenance issues. You talked about air conditioning unit going bust over Christmas. How long
yep.
does it take you to manage the your nine property portfolio?
Um, let me think. Not much really, to be honest. So out of the nine properties. Five of them is managed by a property manager. Three
Uh-huh.
of them I manage them myself
Oh,
because I actually know the tenant from years ago. Funny story, which I'll dive into it later.
mhm.
But no, I don't really spend much time at all. Yes, there's going to be maintenance issues here and there, but I would say maybe a couple hours a month, maybe. Yeah, not much at all. It's the only time I really look into things is when lease renewals come up. So and I have lease renewals coming up in May, June, July, September. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's really not much. You build a team around you. You have a good property manager. They pretty much manage everything. I give them autonomy. Hey, if the value is below $200, just get it fixed. You don't have to let me know. You just fix it. But if anything more than that, just let me know, and we'll just go ahead we repair.
Right. I think that's very similar to me, like 13 properties. I think mine's about two and a half, maybe hours as well. And it's sometimes unbelievable. People will just say, oh, look, PK, you got to say that. But it's good to have you verify it because
Yeah.
that's really the case. It kind of sucks sometimes, I have to admit, in a way that like if something goes wrong, I know the property manager has used a handyman or a tradesperson that is probably overcharged. And
Yep.
I think because of that, I'm probably paying 20% premium on
Yep.
most jobs. But for me, it's like, okay, in the context of everything, not having to worry about it, not having to think, not having to make phone calls, quotes. I'm okay to pay a bit of a premium because I know how much rent I'm getting. I know how much these things are going up every year. I feel it's yeah, maybe I'm getting ripped off a little bit, but it's kind of like it's like cost of doing business almost. Especially because
Yeah.
I'm like super not handy. So
Yep.
yeah, I don't want to challenge people who know more than me about what they're doing from a reno or maintenance perspective. Um,
Yeah.
how about borrowing capacity? This is when I post a question on the Facebook group, what's holding you back from growing your portfolio? Number one answer is always borrowing capacity.
Yep.
$9 million worth of property, nine properties, $8 million worth of properties you've got. It's you must have learnt a thing or two about how to increase your serviceability, how to manage mortgage brokers, how to manage banks, lending. What's been your learnings or strategy when it comes to borrowing capacity and lending?
Borrowing capacity and lending. That's a very good question because touch wood, I actually never till now I haven't had any issues with borrowing capacity. I don't use a trust or anything like that. It's just between myself, my wife, and myself. Um, yeah, we've never. So I've got a really good mortgage broker. She's helped me through the last five, six purchases.
Mhm.
She knows what I can and what I can't borrow. The main thing is I sat down with her. This was probably around 3 years ago, just to say, hey, this is what I want to do in the next couple of years. How do I get there? And she tell me if you every time I purchase a property, I'll ask her, hey, after this property, what's my next borrowing capacity? And she'll work it out for me. And in terms of my rental income, my what do you call it, my own salary, my wife's salary, we end up we funny enough, we always have capacity for the next one. I might tap out in another property or so, but I'll be honest, I'll probably figure it out then.
Okay, okay. Well, you're in an enviable situation then. I definitely know I tapped out a few times and then had to start being a little bit more creative. So yeah, you're
Sorry,
probably
I did tap out at some stage. I did tap out. So we went to the first tier banks, and I think this was at my my sixth property. I tapped out in the first tier, so none of the first tier would borrow me anymore. So in order to increase my borrowing capacity, I had to go to the second and third tier lenders, and that's where it opened up more opportunity for me. Yeah, sorry. Now I remember. Yeah, the last I think last 3 years so I had to use a second tier lender.
right, right. I'm exactly the same. Yeah, I had to go to First Mac. I remember asking my mortgage
Yes.
broker like First Mac, I never heard of it. Like, what's the risk of going to this like small lender? And he was like, there's like no risk because you're not giving them your money. They're giving their money to you. And of course they're
Exactly.
backed and everything like that. But I was like, oh, no brainer. Let's do it.
Yeah, no, no, same here. I've never heard of First Mac or even another one that I was told was Liberty.
Hmm.
Yeah, so but yeah, I got introduced to that, I was like, hey, why not?
Right,
Just
right.
continue going on.
What makes your mortgage broker, you don't have to name them if you don't want to, but what makes your mortgage broker great? In other words, when people are watching this and they're like, I want a great mortgage broker just like Clarence, what are the key criteria that they should be looking for?
Um, she's so my mortgage broker. I had a chat with her. Probably this was years ago, and I just want to understand. Hey, do you have investment properties yourself? Do you? First thing I suppose is I want someone that has been there, doing it, done that as well, and that's why I went with her. She's really great. She has good background. No, and the rest of them are just like a personal thing.
Yeah.
I enjoy working with her. I really enjoy. She's helped me through refinancing all my properties, and never had any issues with her. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm really picking up this vibe from you that you really enjoyed the process, whether it's dealing with real estate agents, your own mortgage broker, buying property. You seem really happy. What's your secret? Why
I
are you
know.
so happy?
I generally tell people that if someone asks me what do I enjoy the most, I actually enjoy the process. Learning new things, right? Like dealing with every different situations. I just enjoy the whole thing. You gotta enjoy what you do at the end of the day in life, right? In general, you
Mhm.
gotta enjoy what you're doing.
Right. If you learn to enjoy to learn, then you'll be happy. I think this is the key takeaway from this episode. If you learn to
Yep.
enjoy learning, your
Yep.
life is going to be super blissful. It's going to be super super joyful. I'm getting those
Exactly.
vibes from you, Clarence.
And also another thing for me to add is getting making new friends as well.
Hmm.
Um, just I think just probably a month or two ago, you had Raymond on your podcast.
Yeah.
Top notch bloke. I love the dude. He's helped me with all my last few BNP, and he's an amazing guy. And Raymond, if you're watching this, we still need to grab coffee. We still need to grab coffee.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Raymond was a building and pest inspector. I had him on a while ago on the show, and yeah, actually, he's very much like you, Clarence. He was very relaxed, very chilled out, very like fun-loving, and now a property investor. So
Yeah.
he's doing super, super, super well. Let me ask a couple more questions that I know my audience will want to know. What's been like the biggest challenge? Like, was there a time during the last 14 years of your accumulation where you were like, ah, like that really sucked, and what can we learn from that experience?
Um, the last couple of years is I think I should have bought property earlier on. Like I bought earlys in 2011 and along the way, but I kind of stopped in 2018 to 2020. If I were to go back time, I would probably buy more at that stage because that was probably the best time. 2018 to 2020 was probably the best time to purchase property.
Yeah, yeah. Of course, hindsight's a wonderful thing, and you don't know what's going to happen. I always like to say, and of course, people say, "Oh, look, PK, you're trying to sell something, and you're going to say it." But I've always said, I think, it's always a good time to buy property as long as you know where, because there's multiple markets across Australia, and you know how. And I think maybe it can add this third element, and if you can learn to enjoy it, if these three ingredients are there, then that becomes a recipe instead of a
Yep.
mystery on how to get ahead. I'm really thrilled all the time when experienced property investors do my course. And I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say this. You probably didn't need to do my course. Like you already had like six properties at that time or something like that. Can I just ask, Why did you do my course? This is not scripted for anyone who's watching, by the way. Hopefully the answer is goes my way. But why did you do my course? And what's your plan? Like, in the next 10 years, do you have a passive income goal? Uh, and, what are you working towards?
So the first question was, why did I decide to go on your course?
Right,
Uh,
right.
so before your course, right, I didn't really have a direction. I generally didn't have a direction of what I wanted to do. It was just, even when I purchased property, a lot of them was based on feelings. Like, I suppose I put too much emotions into it. I would go to look at a place and I was like, yeah, I don't like the color of the wall. And I'm like, there was nothing for me to go with. So after the course, I suppose it's more data driven. Data don't lie. If you follow the data, you get there. So for me, it gave me more confidence in buying a property. There's, like, for example, in your course, you mentioned there's 30 to 50 data points for us to look at. When I purchased my last few property, I probably went with 3 data points. Do I like the color of the wall? Is that a good suburb? And even then, I spent weeks and weeks and weeks analyzing, and ended up not buying that place.
Hmm,
So was the main thing with your course. It gives me more confidence in to purchase a property. That is by far probably the most important thing. It gave you
got
the
it.
confidence.
Got it.
Yep.
All right.
Sorry, what
And
was the
and
second question
and now
again?
that you have that confidence, and of course you've bought 3 properties through the course already, all of them in Perth are doing really well. You've already got a sizable portfolio. Like how much is enough? Like how many more do you want, or what is the passive income goal target? I don't know if these questions are too personal, but if you could give some color around them.
The goal was probably 10 investment properties, which means that I've got 2 more to go, and the goal is by 2028 to get that to the 10 property mark. I don't know why 10 property is just a number that, hey, maybe the round figure of 10 is it's nice,
Yeah.
but the goal is to reach 10 property by 2028. But at this rate that I'm going, I suppose maybe by end of this year, if not early next year, I'll probably hit that. Yeah, that is my target
Right,
for
right.
it.
Amazing.
I
Well,
wasn't, and again, I wasn't expecting to purchase 3 properties last year. My goal initially was just, let's just go with one, and let's see how it goes. But when I bought the first property after the course, it's like, oh, okay, it made the second one and the third one much easier. Like generally, it's so much easier with negotiating, with talking to agents, to getting off market properties. Yeah, it made it really fun. So I was like, okay, let's go.
it
Yeah.
is addictive. No, I bought a property recently, and yeah, I hadn't bought one for like 2 years, and yeah, I miss that feeling of like settling and being like, all right, got it. What's
Oh,
the
the
next?
excitement, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's just adrenaline that it gives you. Hey, when I purchased the first property after your course, I was like, oh, geez, this is so, like, you're buying with confidence. You're not buying in doubt. You know, Previously, before the course, when I purchased any property, I was like, oh shit, did I make the right choice? Did I make the wrong choice? I don't know. There's nothing to validate me. But after that, I gave me more confidence, and the next one just makes it so much easier.
Right, right. I'm really happy for you. I mean, there's that saying that we come into the world with nothing, we leave the world with nothing. So why not enjoy the process? Why not enjoy the journey and not just hang out for the end game? And it seems like that's, of course, you're building generational wealth for your kids, but you're also really enjoying the journey, which is actually really inspirational. And I hope that's rubbing off onto everyone and me as well. Um, Clarence, is there any question that I haven't asked you, or is there anything like you'd like to say, or any advice or thoughts before we wrap it up?
Um, yeah, no, really. Goes back to the first, I suppose. The main thing is educate yourself. You got to educate yourself with or without the course. There's plenty of like free YouTube videos. I started off watching your YouTube videos, like your free YouTube videos, and to be honest, I've never been a big fan of courses. Yours is the first course I've ever purchased
Oh,
in my
wow.
life. Yeah, so I always thought, there's a lot of information out there that is free, right? You don't have to do the course, but doing the course just expedited everything.
Yeah.
Honestly expedited everything. And I was going, and I was like I mentioned to you just before we started recording, I had 9 months old, so I had to make sure I did it, really fast before my wife went on maternity leave. But yeah, just educate yourself, and yeah, and you should be all good to go.
Brilliant, brilliant advice. Start with free education and from a diverse set of sources. And then as your knowledge bank enriches and gets better, then you can figure out who's who in the zoo. And then if you, like you were saying, Clarence, if you want to do things right with a set methodology that's worked before, expedite things, get that fire in your belly, become addicted to property, then maybe a course like mine, let's see, is something that is appropriate. But congratulations, Clarence. Very, very happy for you and your family. I'm exceedingly joyful every time someone builds a portfolio of any size, but of your size, nine properties, 8 million dollar portfolio, 50% leverage. That's the thing. It's not like, after 14 years, it's still leveraged at 88% or 90%, 90%. You've got genuine wealth in that beast. So I'm really, really happy for you and congratulations for everything that you've achieved.
Thank you, PK. One last thing, if you don't mind me adding, is one probably the main tip I'll give everyone is surround yourself with like-minded people. Join a group. Just get to surround yourself with people that wants to grow. It's not just in property, but everything in life. Once you're in there, it just makes it easier for you to grow. So main thing is surround yourself with people with the same mindset.
Right. It's yeah, it's great advice. Association rubs off. Association is the key to life. If you want to improve in any facet of life, find people who are better than you at that thing and just hang out with them, and so
Yep. Yep.
like you'll naturally be pulled up. Even if you don't want to be pulled up, there's a way
Yep.
in which your psychology will say, okay, I want to do a bit better in here, and you'll naturally get better. So I think that's almost like your best piece of advice on the episode. Thank you so much, Clarence. And thank you everyone for watching or listening. There's more than 200 of these client interviews on the client results playlist on YouTube. But like I always say, I don't, for me, it's not to say do my course or not do my course, but at least watch these recordings, watch these episodes, because, like we just said, by hearing from people like Clarence, you'll become inspired, you'll become educated, and it's remarkable what you can achieve when you have those two things infused in your mindset. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share it with someone who doesn't believe in property or needs this right now. And once again, thank you so much, Clarence.
Thank you, PK.